for drawing your bubbles with chalk pastel is you're going to take your stencil and your white colored pencil, and you're going to put 5 bubble shapes around on your piece of paper. So not all the same size, so choose different sizes, or some the same and some that are different. Just don't make them all the same. However you want your bubbles floating around. Then going to pick up your white chalk pastel, and just on the left side of the bubble, you're going to make this side of it a little bit thicker. You don't have to push really hard with the chalk pastel because enough will come off of the chalk pastel just by lightly rubbing it on your paper. So don't push really hard. And what you want to do is just on the inside of that line you just drew, you want a crescent moon shape. So it's thicker in the middle to nothing on the edge. And as thin as you can get it right there, the better. Now what you're going to do is take your finger, if your hands are clean, or you can always take a paper towel and make what I like to call a ghost finger. So you put your finger inside the paper towel, that way your finger stays clean when you're switching colors. And you're going to just, don't push too hard because you'll just push all the chalk away. You're going to blend that color out, and that's going to give the illusion that your bubble is round. If extra chalk goes onto your paper, you can lift your instead of blowing it onto your friends. Makes a big mess. The next step is you're going to choose either cool colors or warm colors. We don't want to mix warm and cool together because they get muddy and turn kind of brown. So you're either choosing cool colors for some of your bubbles and warm colors for other bubbles, or you can just choose to use one or the other. I'm going to do a couple of each. So I'm keeping them separate so they don't get messed up and blended together and we just have a brown puddle of mess. I started with my purple. I'm going to show you on another bubble what I did. You're just going to make a C shape on that same side, on the left-hand side, where you did your white originally. And then if you follow the circle, the outside white circle, you don't want to make a solid ring of purple. You're just adding a couple little lines on this side and one more solid line on. One thing I forgot to mention too, make sure you're not dragging your hand across your bubbles. So you always, or you usually want to start up. If you're right-handed, you're going to start up in the left-hand side of your paper and work this way. If you're left-handed, you probably want to start over here and work this way. Using a paper towel over my finger, I'm going to blend this just barely. You're going to really lightly blend it with your paper towel, just to smooth that line out a little tiny bit. And that's after I dusted off the extra chalk. I'm not going to blend this one as much, but I'm going to blend this one out just a little tiny bit. Same thing on this side and this side. Just give it a light smear. Making sure you move the area where your finger is when you want to switch colors. So I'm going to red, so I had to move it over. And I got a lot of chalk on this bubble, so I'm almost like wiping the extra off. And then same thing, I have a lot of chalk on there, so I'm gonna move over to a different area just to get that little side. I don't even barely need to blend that side. And if you go outside the circle, don't worry, we're gonna clean that up later. You can always take your paper towel if it's bothering you and kind of erase it. Just blending that line out a little bit. So this last one down here, just giving it a little slight fuzz look to it, so it's not so stark. And again, you can clean up the outside of your bubble, but you're going to be constantly doing that until we're done. So I've added my first color of my cool colors and my warm color bubbles over here. You're going to do the same exact thing. You're going to pick up your next color using a corner. You're going to make this one's going to be a little thinner, just a C-shaped shape. And then on the other side of the bubble, find a couple places that you can overlap the colors, but you're just going to add little lines on the other side. This line's going to be a little bit thicker, just like that. You don't want to blend it in too much because it's going to get muddy. If you have extra, wait till you're done doing all that color and we can tap it off. So just adding a little couple thin lines on this side, little thicker on that side. Maybe right inside the purple. You can experiment a little bit with where you want it. Maybe fill in on the outside. Try not to get too much on this side. And this time you're really going to put your paper towel almost in like a point and just blend that just a little tiny bit. You don't want to blend it too much. You just want it to just barely blend on that side. I'm not even going to blend these ones on this side. I'm just blending this side. And it's going to start to give your bubbles a more round look. My next color I'm going to do with my warm chalk pastels is orange. I'm kind of going from darkest to lightest, and then we'll go back and add some highlights. So you're going to add a really as crisp as you can C shape, littler, smaller C shapes on the other side. And then blend those, maybe just this side. Give it a little blend, just the left-hand side. I'm not even going to touch those. I'm going to leave them pretty solid. And then I'm going to take my lightest color of the warm colors, and I'm going to add, kind of in between those colors, just a thin little C, and you'll start to see it kind of gives that iridescent look to it. My brightest color that I'm going to use over here, I have this really bright blue color. Oh, I've got some extra chalk on my chalk. I want to make sure I wipe that off so I don't end up blurring it. So this time I'm going to do the thinnest line. You can play with where you want it. If you want it to be inside the lines or over the top of your lines, you can kind of play around and see what you like. Where you want to put those little dashes on the other side. You just want them thicker on this side. One last little bubble down here. And I'm almost just adding little dashes along that side. Continue to make it look like it's round. So at this point, I'm going to lift my paper up, tap the chalk off. I did not blend my last color. That's the big thing to notice there. I didn't blend anything out that time. If you feel like your purple went away or one of your other colors went away too much, you can go back in and using, again, an edge or a corner, you can brighten it back up a little bit just to give it a little pop. Whoops, I went outside my circle. I'll show you how we'll fix that. And I kind of want to go back with my purple one more time. If I can find it. Maybe I'll add a little more green. I can't find my purple. Add a little more green back in there. And maybe not a solid line, but just in some parts of the green line, make it brighter again. I'm gonna start with go back with my orange again and do the same thing. So you're just kind of layering the chalk up on both sides of the bubble. So that's what it's gonna look like at this point. You'll notice on your example sheet, there's some different shapes for reflections in your bubbles. So following again a curved shape, so you don't want straight lines, I added a little rectangle right there, and then this sort of curved triangle that's thicker on one side and thinner on the other. And you can kind of add one up here too. They don't all have to be exactly the same. And then on the other side, I'm just gonna add thin curved lines. Thin curved lines, just like that. That again is gonna add to it, making it look like it's more round. So the next step is just to add some. So looking at your reference sheet, just add those highlights in, thicker on the left-hand side, more just like lines on this side, inside your original line. And when you have those the way you want them, you're going to add a little sparkly part. And again, you're following the curve of the bubble, just adding in a little bit of highlight around the bubble. And then to get that look like a bubble has right before it pops, or at the roundest part of the bubble, you're just going to make sort of a little star shape and add some dots randomly kind of around it wherever you would like. It doesn't have to be in the same place on each bubble. You can vary the size of it. You can really do whatever you want. You can add some other dots around the circle if you need to or want to. Maybe adding a few around. I'm going to add this one right here. Kind of a starburst. Anywhere you'd like inside your bubble, and then wherever you added that, add a couple dots around it. I like to add things in odd numbers, 3s, 5s. You might want a couple more in some other areas. Don't go too crazy with the polka dots, but add in some little reflection to your bubble, and we're almost done.